begin with a few short poems from a chapbook called Tether. This chapbook and the next book I'll read from are both fairly recent. They came out last year. There's copies on the table you can take a look at and take home. Poems in Tether were written at a wonderful place called Sitka Center for Art and Ecology on the Oregon coast, Otis, Oregon. I was there for a number of weeks in 1998 in the winter. The sun sets into the sea, goes to that other sky to renew the names. The rocks settle so slowly, we take them for the ground. Darkness pours down into the trees, filling them. A wind moves our limbs and whispers. The moon candles in a death's head, brighter, whiter, warmer for the wind. Don't try to make something new, or you mean you've never had it before? Exotic beverages, confections, whatever is not a struggle. You can't get to heaven from here. The luxury of a cross-cultural analysis of leisure. The inheritance of navies. The map, a crumbling leaf. The miracles. Something heals itself. Is it for its own sake? The definition of identity is the identity of definition. How does paper learn? Do waves count? We think we touch the surface of things, a fiction, a momentary notion. The body, a perpetual leave-taking, inside which something presses out toward the air. And tender. I take a walk under a sky, away from the day. You knew, looked inward. The height of sun is tethered there. And from this book, Float, which is an assemblage of 3 long collage texts, each of which approaches collage from a different misdirection. I was going to read something else, but for some reason, after hearing Alana's reading, I want to read from this 3rd section of the middle book, or middle part, called Lebanon. And this middle part of the book is called Orbis Pictus, and it has a kind of governing epigram for the whole, Orbis Pictus, from an essay on Poe's Eureka by Paul Valery, translated by Malcolm Cowley, interestingly. And the epigraph, with numerous ellipses, is, one might say that the world is hardly more ancient than the art of making the world. In any case, our idea of the origin of things is never more than a reverie based on their present disposition. The cosmogonic form includes sacred books, admirable poems, outlandish narratives full of beauties and absurdities, and physico-mathematical researches often so profound as to be worthy of a less insignificant subject than the universe. But it is the glory of the species, and something more than their glory, to waste their powers on void. Lebanon. 1. O old nest, my toenails break, and here are the monuments of kings. St. George tends her blind father's grave, stretched out at your feet like a cobbler hiring a hut. 24 instances noted. Oh, Rose, take care. Take my ribs as a couch. For her brother who is dying, we sold my sister's amulet. O organ of the nights, 4 white rabbits, whose heads are like those of cauliflowers, shall strip the leaves of the myrtle. Oh, for her sweet land and for those hills, the foundation stone, the captive bird, the smell of a dead lion. I have no companion but you. At the mention of your name, 1,000 peacocks march in Asia. The rust is eating a carafe full of red wine. She has been doing this for 1 or 2 years. And if you blow up the fire, it thinks that you belong to it. Oh, mother of men, I want to dance. What is the matter? In his hand is a book. It may be the New Testament. 1,001 sighs for a draught from a jug. Meticulously cutting his nails, he warms his eyes on our cheeks prematurely, asking, what use is the world? 2. Barud, faithful dog, guardian of the orchard, our lamp is failing. Hoarseness of autumn in its chest, a parrot babbles on top of its cupboard, a slipper gleams on its foot like the seas of your eyes. 3. Who scraped in the snow with her hands, saw fortunes, digs in the ashes, a sky filled with perfume. Decay has set in on that dark blue and splendid iris. I should not exchange this mill of ours for the world. 4. Wild mint outside the house. No one knows what he wants to say. 35 instances noted. 5. Never again shall we listen to the green curtains, the orange peel, old and blotchy. In my land is the porphyry. I search this world for you. The land of the lightning. The world searches itself for you. A veil of locusts. The world goes round and round. A pool of wine. It is all pools of tar. At the end of that garden, he spits red blood on the rugs. Wrapped in black headdresses, the white butterflies fly in a temple that has collapsed on itself. Like crystal in the moonlight, the carcass of a mule full of acorns stained by red wine, parsley, and lettuce. Early red roses making the stones of the houses weep. No bee remains in the hive. A crow is swallowing the corpse. Coming from the land of Persia, no sweet girl, no songs, and no wine. To build castles in order to warm you, a thrush is building a nest in the woodwork of a coffin. 6. On the day that we were created, the swords turned pale. The scents of our clothing, exhalations of pistachios and hazelnuts. Your brown body, a worn and faded rug, dazzling with its diamonds. It may be that it occurs to the world to moan. A rose seller sold this paradise at a loss. Falsehood had laid its eggs between you and me. 7. A parrot babbles, her hoop still clatters in the mist. Wood of coffins from the gold dust of your body. Thus you leave the world. Here is an abandoned bell. Why this weariness, this trout? It snows wine. July is drowning. Let's see, okay. So, costume change. So this mask was made for the occasion by Cynthia Miller in Tucson, Arizona. Cynthia is part of Chax Press, along with Charles Alexander. Her paintings adorn many of the covers of Chax Press books. Let's see. Is that too tight? I should have brought reading glasses. I do this when you can't see it, can you? This is from a series called generically Eclipse, or Eclipses. But I never looked like that. I never looked like that. Never looked like that. How do you look like that? How do you know like that? How do you know what that? How do you know? How do you know? What is the do you know? What is the you know? What is the you know? What is the you might? What is the you might, or is the you might, or might the you might, or might not you might, or might not look you might, or might not look like might, or might not look like? Where, or might not look like? Where do might not look like? Where do you not look like? Where do you find look like? Where do you find it? Like, where do you find it? By where do you find it? By which do you find it? By which morphological you find it? By which morphological, or find it? By which morphological or expressive it? By which morphological or expressive calibration? By which morphological or expressive calibration? Where? Which morphological or expressive calibration? Where is morphological or expressive calibration? Where is your or expressive calibration? Where is your authentic expressive calibration? Where is your authentic body calibration? Where is your authentic body? You. Where is your authentic body? You are is your authentic body. You are your authentic body. You are the only authentic body. You are the only one body. You are the only one who you are the only one who can are the only one who can never, the only one who can never see, only one who can never see yourself. One who can never see yourself, except who can never see yourself, except as can never see yourself, except as never see yourself, except as an image. See yourself, except as an image. You, yourself, except as an image. You never accept as an image. You never see as an image. You never see an image. You never see your eyes image. You never see your eyes unless you never see your eyes, unless they never see your eyes, unless they are see your eyes unless they are dulled. Your eyes unless they are dulled by eyes, unless they are dulled by the gaze. They are dulled by the gaze. They are dulled by the gaze. They rest dulled by the gaze. They rest upon by the gaze. They rest upon the gaze. They rest upon the mirror. Gaze. They rest upon the mirror, or they rest upon the mirror, or the rest upon the mirror, or the lens. Upon the mirror or the lens. I, the mirror or the lens. I am mirror or the lens. I am interested or the lens. I am interested in the lens. I am interested in seeing lens. I am interested in seeing my eye. I am interested in seeing my eyes. I am interested in seeing my eyes. Only interested in seeing my eyes. Only in seeing my eyes. Only when they see my eyes. Only when they look my eyes. Only when they look at eyes. Only when they look at you. Only when they look at you. Even when they look at you. Even and they look at you, even and especially look at you, even and especially at you, even and especially for your you, even and especially for your own, even and especially for your own body, and especially for your own body. You, especially for your own body, you are for your own body, you are condemned. Your own body, you are condemned to own body. You are condemned to the body. You are condemned to the repertoire. You are condemned to the repertoire of, are condemned to the repertoire of its, condemned to the repertoire of its images. To the repertoire of its images, but the repertoire of its images. But I, repertoire of its images, but I never of its images, but I never looked its images, but I never looked like images, but I never looked like that. That passage is from Roland Barthes by Roland Barthes. So, there are two photographers in Portland, Oregon, where I live, who are embarked on a large project having to do with shadows in different senses. It's called Mapping the Shadows, and one component of that is a series of life-size photograms of bodies, 7 feet photographic paper photograms that, among other things, evoke the human shadows, as they're called, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And my involvement in these projects is through text, so I wrote an essay for the catalog of that show. Then there's another part of it called Water Shadows, and in which the photographers have been taking photographic paper at night and immersing it in the Columbia River and the slough of the Columbia and the Pacific Ocean, and then flashing very bright light and capturing the character of the water, the sediment that's suspended, anything else that's in the water. So the water shadows, this is a poster that has one of the water shadow images, and two poems, one by me and one by Standard Schaefer, long of LA, short of the Bay Area, and now in Portland. So I'll read the poem of mine, and then I'll put this out on the table for people to see. This is a series. The series doesn't have a title, but some of the individual sections do. Hanford. No one is going to sack our cities, or rather, we are, from the inside out. Only the past is natural. When I look into the light, I look into my own body. And soon all of us will sleep under the earth. The terrible price of enhancement, the argument for slums. Which is older, the canary or the pinon pine? History is a latecomer among ambitions. Autobiography of a shadow. Yes, you cast your shadow, which shape-shifts as you move. But what light, what body casts you? Replace everything. Don't stop with the world as it was, the coeval, faux tree cell tenants, renovated grasslands, general waste. Don't wait to leap height. Replace the future, harbor light, your unborn children's dreams. Replace pride and cruelty, your interpolations. We are students of the water, how to celebrate the birth of the birther. Every rare, full breath fills me with fear. It's a trial, an experiment. Our condition surrounds us. Hydrology is my escape. This shadow through which we have been passing, and which extends in every dimension beyond the universe we know, is but the trace of an eclipse, a measure of a relation between spheres out of ken. What I mean is, all the darkness in the world is no more than a flicker caused by bodies in flight. Even the drowned know this. everything above the surface is reflected and recreated in the water, where there are water clocks, water smog, water berries, and water phantoms. Full fathom 5. What did we want? I'd like to read a few excerpts from a book that it's made up of very short poems. In Salt Lake City, on a road trip through southern Utah, I bought a tiny notebook about 2 by 3 inches. And it was a little cloth-bound book with a gold Ganesha figure on the cover. And it started out as a way to document that trip, but then for about a year it became a repository for very, very short poems. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll read some excerpts from it. It's called Book Park, or Little Lord of Beginnings. Unbroken blue, unbreakable blue. Birds inside the tree. A bowl above a bowl holding water. A breeze blowing up out of a pit. Trickling faucet, that's our creek. I might count steps or breaths. The rocks count pine trees. Blue bowl rings lose belly. Four flaming logs on a red bed of coals. A map of interactions. We have feet, the trout, flout. Community in the pit. Pale yellow, black edge butterfly coasts between 2 open books. How far does water fall? From Germany to Peru, to Switzerland, to Brazil, to Bolivia, to Lake Powell, or 126 feet. Safari? Where's the wind? Where's the creek? Where are the rocks? When are the rocks? The meaning of occurrence depends on one having lived. With the compassion of a compass, condense the undoing. Not often, but always. Guardrail upgrade. Sour dates. All deliveries and ghosts to 965 Sutter. Uncivil codes tell a story imperative by permission and subject to control. The crucifix is a crude antenna. The soffit is crowded with brackets. The shadows of what must have been a flock of birds cross the sidewalk, passing under batting practice. Citations don't bleed. Boogie ceremony. Historic Now Museum. Gas Panes Road. Nominal Highway. Give words no matter whose, more space, more time. suspense. Every shadow was a mind, waiting the tribe of my father. Lifeguard in a cemetery. All poets are nudes. Pothole hotline. Porthole. Door sale. All over the map, like pollen or fallout. Ghost masturbation, or masturbating ghosts. Can you pretend to get out of my wake? Poetria y muerte. Some of these are silly. J. Edgar Allan Poe. They're bad. I skipped some. That makes me want to go back to some of the real howlers. Rag, rocker, reach. Hegemony of the unmusic. Genre-scape. Rice drain. Hedge money. Waterlog. Arrow in the dark. Readdress. Redress. Hope is where the heart is. Mount trailer. Associated hose. Chinese German in Carroll Gardens. I prefer the French Egyptian to our own. And this is for Chuck Stein, if you know. Dismantling a rack, whack of a hammer, making a racket. Touchless, cutless, windless ingress. Nature, Part 2. I'll end with a collaboration with the book artist Catherine Keene. This is an elegy for the mother of a friend, Rose Kropczynski is her name. And, well, it sort of speaks for itself. I urge everyone to feel free to come up and take a look at this object of which I am the mere steward. It's called threnos, Greek word meaning song of lament or mourning. Threnos in memoriam Rose Kropczynski, 1941-2000. Rose, the rose of the rose, richness of the rose, manifold richness of the rose, and manifold full, the full, revealing the full shots, revealing the full beautiful shots, revealing the full selected, has selected photographer, has selected where photographer has selected every lovers, every rose lovers, every of rose lovers, every plots of rose lovers, every gardens, rose gardens, gardens, rose gardens, botanical gardens, rose gardens. And are roses, they are wild roses, they are like wild roses, they are and like which they are, from which they are strains, from which they are latter, the latter growth, the latter opulent growth, the latter and opulent growth, intense flowers, intense petaled flowers, intense many petaled flowers, intense 1900 to 1900, previous to 1900, bred previous to 1900, old, bred previous to 1900, from modern distinguishes, modern horticulture distinguishes modern, today's horticulture, number without number, strains without number, create strains without number, crossing roses, crossing of roses, crossing, breeding of roses, crossing, the breeding of have lovers, have rose lovers, have, since rose lovers have, ever since rose lovers have blooms, coveted blooms, the coveted blooms of the coveted blooms, supply of the coveted built and built purposes and built medicinal purposes and built for medicinal purposes, domesticate Romans, domesticate the Romans, domesticate, attest the Romans, domesticate the rose as the rose as the, praised the rose as the, who praised the rose? Such sources, such as sources, such ago as sources, such years ago as sources, such full roses, a full cultivated roses, a full, Greeks cultivated roses, a full ancient ages, the ages, down the ages, artists down the ages, and artists down the ages have, and they have immemorial, and they have time immemorial, and they love of love, symbol of love them, a symbol of love made them a symbol.